case today. The National Prosecuting Authority and President Jacob Zuma approached the court for leave to appeal its earlier decision. The court had ruled that the 2009 decision by then acting NPA head Mokotadi Mshe to drop corruption charges against President Zuma was irrational. Mshe dropped the charges against President Zuma, reasoning that intercepted telephone conversations showed political interference in the decision to charge Zuma. Parties involved both believe that the court erred in law and remain convinced that another court will come to a different conclusion. Right, for more on this judgment, let's cross over to Aldrin Sampear. He's outside the High Court in Pretoria. Aldrin, a very good morning to you. Talk to us about the judgment and what's expected today.
Well, good morning, Leanne. We expect the judgment to be handed down at 9 o'clock this morning. Normally we'd hear judgments around about 10 o'clock, but this time around that judgment is being handed down at 9 o'clock. And unlike last time, we don't have any DA members out here protesting outside the court here. Well, as we expect the judgment to be handed down, just looking at some of the arguments, is that whether the full bench of the High Court has overstepped the mark, and that's the argument from the NPA, that the judges have overstepped the mark, considering that in that judgment that was handed down, they said that President Jacob Zuma must face the charges in the indictment. The NPA's argument is that those powers lie with the NPA, and what happens in a case where a prosecutor decides that actually some of the charges must be set aside. It's not with something charging the president or going ahead with some of the charges, or even adding some charges on the 783 corruption charges that the president once faced. And those are some of the arguments that the court will have to look into, whether it did overstep the mark. The DA arguing that if they feel that this case is done and dusted, because remember that the NPA also said that unlike the case of Mdluli, where the Supreme Court of Appeal said the charges should be reinstated, the NPA went to the Durban High Court, and the charges against President Jacob Zuma was struck off the roll, which means that it was done and dusted. The DA then said that if that's the case, the simple thing to do is basically just open a new investigation and recharge the president.
All right, that's Aldrin Sampear. Of course, he's going to be covering that story for us. 9 o'clock is when it begins, so we'll hear from Aldrin as soon as that decision does come out as well.